I'm on a challenging quest to design an automatic farm for every single item in the game of Minecraft. Hello there, Ray here, and Minecraft just came out with a brand new music disc called Lava Chicken. And the only way you get this new item is by killing a normal baby zombie that is riding a chicken, also known as a chicken jockey. So of course I want to make a farm to get an unlimited amount of these. For that we need an infinite amount of chicken jockeys, which means we need an infinite amount of zombies. That's because for every zombie that spawns, there's a 5% chance it will be a baby zombie, and for every one of these, there's a 5% chance it will be a chicken jockey. And zombies naturally spawn in dark areas in the overworld, but they can also spawn as sieges during midnight when there is a village nearby. But these sieges are too rare to use. We could also get an unlimited amount of zombies by using zombie reinforcements, where damaging a leader zombie will produce more zombies in a dark area. Although this is possible to sustain, it's just way too difficult to pull off. We could also use a zombie mob spawner or trial spawner, but these things are just too slow compared to using naturally spawned in zombies. So to get an unlimited source of zombies, I'm going to use the easy and fast method of having them spawn in naturally in dark areas in the overworld. This is a good time to remind you to leave your like on the video. So to get the zombie spawns, you can use any type of general mob farm, such as this design of mine, where I have a small redstone clock which will come underneath and power some redstone. This will alternate between holding back water and releasing it, allowing the hostile mobs to spawn on the dry platforms. And then after a short delay, the water will come through, wash them all off, and push them towards the center. With this setup, not only do we get zombies, we also get skeletons, creepers, and spiders, and they all get pushed to the center and then fall into another water stream, which sends them to this drop chute. But the real challenge comes when trying to kill this jockey. It's not like it's hard to actually kill the jockey. The problem is if you kill the chicken before killing the baby, then when you kill the baby, it will not drop the disc. And this can be difficult to do because even if you attack the baby zombie first, notice the chicken has such little health that it normally will die first. So doing what you normally do, where you just attack the feet of the mobs, will not work if you want the new disc. And setting yourself up so that you can only end up hitting the zombie before hitting the chicken, you run into another problem, which is the other mobs will see you and attack you. Now you can drop all the mobs super far so that they will instantly die when they hit the ground, where the chicken jockeys, since they're on a chicken, will slowly float downwards and not take any damage. But there's always a chance you can get an overpowered skeleton with feather falling or protection that can survive the fall. But before we focus on the other mobs, let's first see if we can actually get a disc out of these guys consistently, despite the chickens dying so easily. Now we can try to kill both these guys in one hit, so by using a sharpness 5 sword, and if I attack the zombie, you can see the zombie survives but the chicken dies. But even if we give ourselves strength 2 and use a netherite sword that has sharpness 5 and fire aspect, you can see the baby zombie does not instantly die. But there is an enchantment that does more damage to undead mobs, and that is a smite enchantment. So if we use smite 5 netherite sword with our strength 2 potion, we can kill both of them at the exact same time, and as you see, it dropped a disc. But let's see if it works without the strength effect, and that way we wouldn't have to get an entire beacon just for this. So with just a smite 5 sword that's netherite, we can also one-hit it. But if we downgrade to a diamond sword, it does not one-hit them. But this one-hitting only works if we would hit the actual zombie, as whatever you hit first will do the majority of the damage, and only a minor sweep attack will damage the other nearby mobs. And if we want this farm to be automatic, we don't want to be actually aiming at different mobs, but rather just standing here, swinging our sword, and hitting whatever is in front of us. Meaning that if we would just sit here and swing and attack this skeleton in front, notice that the sweeping attack damage will then end up hitting the chicken nearby and killing it, but only doing a small amount of damage to the zombie, preventing us from getting any disc. So I need to find a way to kill the zombie before killing the chicken, no matter what mob we end up hitting first. So just by using an armor stand, it'll act similar to just a random mob. So attacking it will apply the sweeping effect to the nearby mobs, but as you can see, we're just doing way too much damage to the chicken. Now the sweeping effect only goes down a quarter block from whatever you're initially attacking. So by raising up the armor stand like this, and then hitting it, notice it does only hit the zombie and not the chicken. The problem is we can't get the armor stand to just float like this, and instead it has to sit on top of a block, which means that mobs could also end up landing on top of this block, which wouldn't help our problem. And if we would try to stick the armor stand off to the side so that it's not here inside of the killing chamber, the armor stand ends up being too far away to damage the mobs on the opposite side. But the sweeping damage is related to the sweeping edge enchantment, and we currently have level 3. So if I use this sword here that has no sweeping edge enchantment, rather than a whole bunch of damage being reapplied to the nearby mobs, it will only apply 1 damage. So if I hit this armor stand here, you can see it does damage both to the zombie and the chicken, but it doesn't instantly kill the chicken. So this is getting closer to what we want. And luckily the smite enchantment also applies when the sweeping effect is applied, meaning that when I attack this armor stand and then the sweeping effect is applied to the zombie and the chicken, it's going to do more damage to the zombie since it's undead and takes more damage from the smite than it does the chicken. So if I hit the armor stand once again, you see it will actually kill the zombie before killing the chicken, and therefore having a 100% chance at getting the music disc. So now that we sort of got it working with the jockey, let's see if we can also get it to work while having these other mobs inside the killing chamber. Because it would be nice while killing this guy to also be using looting on these guys to get more items per hour. And right off the bat we run into a problem, and that is the witches. They just keep on drinking healing potions because they're not directly being hit, they're only getting a small amount of the sweeping edge damage. It's very easy for the witch to drink healing potions to overcome this one damage. But if we put sweeping edge 1 onto our sword, this will do slightly more damage when attacking the witches and will eventually kill them. But now if we try this new sword on the chicken jockey, notice that it will end up killing the chicken instantly and once again allowing the zombie to survive. But if you look closely, you'll notice that when the chicken dies, the zombie is technically still riding on top of the chicken for quite a while, actually the entire time the chicken's doing the death animation, which is an entire 1 second. Meaning that if you would kill the zombie during this time, it would still drop a disc since it still thinks it's on top of the chicken. And because the sweeping effect can be done every half second, this means we can actually hit this armor stand twice in the time it takes for the animation of the chicken to complete. So if I do 2 quick attacks, it will drop the lava chicken music disc. But this only works if we can actually hit something in front of us twice really quickly. If something would happen to die in the first hit, then we can't get a second hit off, and therefore we won't get any disc. For this reason, we will always want to be attacking an armor stand because the armor stand will always stay put, and it regenerates its health quick enough that it won't die. But we have the problem with mobs getting between us and the armor stand so that we can't get 2 quick attacks off because their death animation will block us from clicking on the armor stand. We also have the problem that the armor stand's sweeping effect is only applied so far out from the actual armor stand, but it also takes into consideration where the player is standing, as the sweeping attacks will only be applied 3 blocks away from where the player is, so like a mob over in that corner there won't actually get any of the damage. But if I was somehow here in the center, then it didn't matter which corner the mobs were in, I would be able to do the sweeping attack to the armor stand, and it would damage all the mobs inside of here. But I don't think I would live very long sitting inside of here. We're almost at 500,000 subscribers, so make sure you have joined. So I decided to put the armor stand a little bit underground, this way I could hop down inside of here, and then when I go underneath, I'm able to attack the armor stand, and if there's any mobs up above, when I do attack it, it's going to apply the nearby sweeping attack and end up killing all of them. But now we have a whole bunch of items up here, including the disc that we need to collect, otherwise it's just going to despawn. Now I was able to switch out most of the floor with hoppers, and we can push all the loot over into some chests nearby, but right where there's a trapdoor, we cannot put in a hopper because that is where we will be sitting. But there's actually a recent trick where you can do when it comes to putting armor stands inside of immovable blocks like hoppers. This is by using a dispenser and then having it pointing towards the immovable block, and then when you power it, it's going to dispense the armor stand, and whatever block is there, it's just going to place it inside of it. So we can do the same trick inside of our collection system here by placing in the hopper first, then powering the dispenser that places in the armor stand, and then we can switch this out with another hopper, and now we have an armor stand that is sitting partly above and partly below. So now it's almost like how it was before with the trapdoor. I just need to get the player down there so I can actually click on the armor stand to do the sweeping attack on it. And because the sweeping attack is based off of my player's feet, if I would attack from here, notice it's not actually damaging the mobs in the corner over there. So I need to get my player closer to the center. So I just need to make enough room for my player so that when we are in swimming mode, we're able to actually fit underneath. And if we look how big the player is, you can see the player is 10 pixels tall. And if we check the current hole here, we can see that it is currently 4 pixels. We need to add another 6 pixels down into this block so that we can fit nice and snugly inside. So if I come here to my world where I have every block sorted by their size, and if we count down 6 pixels, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, this row here is any of the blocks we can choose in order to get our results. I'm going to use the lightning rod as getting copper is easy early game. So by putting in a lightning rod, the armor stand will drop down a little bit, and we can get ourselves into swimming mode just by having a trapdoor here, opening it up. This will shrink us down. And now if we just walk over towards where our little rod is, we'll be able to sneak up on top of it so that we're now close as possible to the hopper, and that way when we attack the armor stand, it will then do the sweeping attack to the nearby mobs. So let's go ahead and test it. We'll give it 2 quick attacks, and it turns out that the jockey is dying a little bit too slowly, and we're not getting no disc. And if you watch this in slow mode, we'll see what the problem is. The problem is that when you knock it back, it goes way up in the air, and because the zombie is so far up in the air, when you hit the armor stand a second time, it's too far away for the sweeping attack to actually reach it. And because of that, it doesn't take any damage, and because of that, the zombie doesn't die while it's still on the chicken. So to try to figure out what's happening, let's freeze the game. And now when we attack it, we can advance the game by 1/20th of a second, and we can see what happens. We normally sweep attack every half second, which is equivalent to 10 game ticks. So after 10 game ticks, we can see where exactly the zombie is. And if we compare this to where the zombie was before, we can see it got knocked upwards. The problem is the armor stand's only going to do damage 1 meter away from it and as high as 1/4 of a block above it. So the top of the armor stand's right here, but the bottom of the zombie is actually this line right here. This is way more than 1/4 of a block away, and because of this reason, if we would whack the armor stand again, notice that it does not damage the zombie because it's just too far away. And because we're unable to hit the zombie, pretty soon the zombie will actually get dismounted from the chicken, and therefore it will no longer count as a jockey and we won't get a disc. So you might think that this is not going to work. But the thing is, the chicken's death animation is 1 entire second long. But despite you normally attacking the armor stand every half second in order to do the most damage possible over the short amount of time, we can decide to delay our second attack and wait for the jockey to come a little bit closer to the ground. And if we do this, then we're able to actually kill the jockey while the zombie is still riding the chicken, giving us a disc. So if we watch this in slow mode, and then we go ahead and advance the game 14 out of the 20 game ticks to the next second, you can see the chicken and the zombie go up, but then they come back down again. And all we have to do is hit the zombie while it's falling downwards, but before the chicken's death animation is completed, so that it would still be riding the chicken. This can be done more consistently by using an auto clicker. This is the one that I use. And instead of setting it for every half second, which is 500 milliseconds, if we set it around 700 or 800 milliseconds, and then if we go ahead and turn on, our guy is just going to automatically attack with that much delay. And then if we would throw the chicken jockey in, we can see that it works perfectly in order to kill it while it's closer to the armor stand, but while it's still technically on the chicken. So now that we got consistently working in order to produce tons of discs, let's see if it'll work by adding in the rest of the mobs. So I turned on the farm up above, and you can see the mobs are dropping down. Only problem is that they are instantly dying. Now this could be a nice tactic where you just have the majority of the mobs die, and then you just end up killing the jockeys that come in, as well as like the witches that would survive, or any skeletons or zombies which happen to be wearing nice armor. But to make the majority of the mobs survive, we can easily do this just by placing in a layer of carpet here. This will make it just slightly high enough so that the majority of the mobs will not die. Now when it comes to the middle, we can't place in a carpet here because the armor stand is currently occupying the area. But that's okay, because when the mobs die, we want to be able to pick up these XP orbs in order to repair our sword, which is possible by using the mending enchantment. But notice XP orbs cannot get absorbed by the player unless they are close enough, and even a half a block will stop it from getting absorbed. But if I change out the slab for a campfire, then it can get pulled through. So as long as the block is 7 pixels or thinner, we shouldn't have a problem in absorbing the XPs from above. So if we count the pixels from the bottom of the inside of the hopper, which starts right here, and we go ahead and check the outside, that's 1 pixel, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's exactly 7, meaning that the XPs are sitting in the inside of this. We'll be able to absorb them if we're touching the bottom of the hopper. And because we're standing on top of this copper lightning rod here, we're really close to touching the hopper up above. As long as we're aligned in the center, we'll be able to pull the XP orbs through the hopper here, and they will be able to repair our sword or increase our XP levels. So now that I overcome all these different problems, let's go ahead and try this all together. So the mobs are coming down, the majority of them are living on top of the carpet, and as you can see, since they did fall quite a ways, they are low health, meaning I can easily one-hit them even if they're not a undead mob, and even if they're getting pushed into the corners of this kill chamber, since I'm in the center, I can reach all of them and kill them all. And then whenever a chicken jockey comes into play, we're going to go ahead and kill it perfectly timed so that we kill the jockey while it's still technically riding the chicken. And just like that, we made a chicken jockey farm to get the new lava chicken music disc. Now see how I farmed beacons to dragons and everything in between by watching this playlist here. And you can see the behind the scenes of how I designed every single farm with my archived live streams on my second YouTube channel. And I'll see you all in the next one. Bye bye!